All right, this is just going to give you a brief overview of what an inverse function is. An inverse function, in any function or relation, when the x and y values switch places, they're considered inverse functions. So for all values of x, they'll turn into y, and for all values of y, they'll turn into x. So if you have a function that has just some points, so x is 1, y is 7, f of x is y, remember. So x is 1, y is 7, x is 2, y is 3, x is negative 4, y is 6, x is 6, y is 8. Then the inverse function would just be switching those up, right? So the 7 becomes the x value, the 1 becomes the y value, 3 becomes x, 2 becomes y, and so forth. So literally, you're just switching places. So when you get to questions like that, when you see this notation here, that doesn't mean like raised to the negative first power. That's simply the notation for inverse. So whether it's f of x, g of x, h of x, that little -1 up there is telling you, I want to know what the inverse function is. So you're going to get questions like, so you got a table. Let's say, what is, well, let's see, what's f of 6? Now, f of 6, there is no notation up there. So f of 6 is going to just be what the output value is. So f of 6 is going to be 8. But let's say they ask you, well, what is f inverse of 6? Well, in that case, you want to think about 6 being, because it's the inverse, the y value. So what is the x value when y is 6? So when y is 6, the x value is going to be -4. So you see the difference there. When you have that little notation, then that becomes a y value. When you don't have the notation, that's an x, that's a y, or that's a y, that's an x. So real briefly here, we can operate with some inverse functions. Let me move this to a new slide. So let's say I wanted to know what is, let's say f of 2 minus 3, let's say f inverse of 6. All right, so this one's a little bit, you got a couple things going on. First, break it up into the different functions you're plugging in. F of 2, that's regular. There's no inverse. So f of 2 is going to be, that's an x value. The f of 2 is going to be 3. So that's done. Now, when you have 3 f inverse of 6, remember that's inverse. So that 6 becomes a y value. What is this 3? Well, that's going to be multiplied by whatever this is. So leave that alone until you figure out what the inverse of 6 is. So this part right here, since y is 6, that's going to be -4. And that's going to be 3 times -4. So that's just going to get multiplied by it. So we subtract that, since that's a minus. We do 3 minus 3 times -4. That's what that ends up being. Well, 3 times 4 is 12, so -4 is -12. So it's going to be 3, since that's a negative, subtracting a negative. You can use your calculator too to help you out, but 3 minus -12 is the same as 3 plus 12, which will give you 15. So just a little bit of how to operate with tables to help you out.